The rain came down like needles that night. Cold, sharp, relentless. I stood on the front steps of the only home I had ever known, the sprawling ancestral house with its creaking oak floors and the rose garden my grandmother planted before I was born. My suitcase lay open on the wet gravel, clothes soaked, papers scattered like dead leaves. "Get out, Lily. You're not blood anymore," my stepmother hissed from the doorway, her silk robe glowing under the porch light. Behind her, my two half-siblings smirked, arms crossed, the same people I had shared birthdays and Christmas mornings with for 12 years. Dad had only been gone 3 weeks. 3 weeks since the heart attack that stole him from us. 3 weeks since the reading of the will that turned love into war. They said I forged the codicil. They said I was greedy. They said the house, the land, everything Grandpa built belonged to them now. I was 22. I had nowhere to go. I remember the way the rain mixed with my tears, the way my fingers trembled as I zipped the suitcase shut. "How could you do this to me?" I whispered. No one answered. The door slammed. The lock clicked. And just like that, I was erased. I slept in my old car for the first week, parked behind the 2-4-hour Walmart. The seat reclined as far as it would go, but the cold still crawled into my bones. I ate one meal a day, whatever I could afford, with the last of my waitress tips. Friends stopped answering my calls. "Sorry, Lily. We just don't have space." The world shrank to the size of my freezing car and the endless loop of my own thoughts. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? By the second week, I was scrolling through listings on my cracked phone, eyes burning from lack of sleep. That's when I saw it. House for sale. $1. Must be occupied immediately. As is condition. Rural property. 40 minutes from town. And a vibe. The photos showed a sagging Victorian with boarded windows and ivy choking the porch. It looked haunted. It looked like a miracle. The listing said the previous owner had died with no heirs and the county just wanted it off the books. I laughed through my tears. $1. $1 for a roof over my head. I drove there the next morning with every cent I had left in my pocket. The real estate agent met me at the gate, keys in hand, looking like he couldn't believe anyone had actually shown up. "Sign here. Cash only. Good luck, kid." I signed. I paid. And just like that, the crumbling house with its peeling wallpaper and broken banister was mine. The first night, I cried myself to sleep on the dusty floor, wrapped in a sleeping bag that smelled of mildew. Wind howled through the cracked windows like it was trying to warn me. But in the morning light, I saw possibility. I rolled up my sleeves, bought cheap tools from the hardware store with my last $50, and began. I scrubbed floors until my knees bled. I nailed boards over the worst holes. I painted the living room walls a soft cream that reminded me of my grandmother's kitchen. Every evening I sat on the porch steps with a single candle, listening to the creaks and sighs of the old timber. Sometimes I swore I heard footsteps upstairs. Sometimes the attic door would rattle, even when the wind was still. I told myself it was just an old house settling. I was wrong. 3 weeks in, while prying up a loose floorboard in the bedroom to fix a squeak, my hammer struck metal. A small tin box. Inside were letters tied with faded ribbon, yellowed photographs, and a leather diary. The handwriting on the first envelope made my heart stop. It was addressed to me. For Lily, on the day they try to take everything. I sat cross-legged on the dusty floor, flashlight trembling in my hand, and read. The letters were from my real mother, the one Dad said died in a car accident when I was 4. She hadn't died. She had run from the man who beat her, from the family that threatened her if she ever spoke the truth. She wrote that Grandpa knew everything. He had bought this exact house in secret years ago and put it in a trust for me, waiting for the day I would need it. Page after page, the dark family secret spilled out. My stepmother had been poisoning my mother, slowly, small doses of something the doctors would never catch, until Mom faked her own death and disappeared. Grandpa had suspected, but he couldn't prove it. So he hid the original will here, the one that left the entire ancestral estate to me alone, bypassing Dad's second marriage entirely. He had even hidden bank records showing a trust fund set aside for me the day I turned 18. My hands shook so hard I dropped the diary. All those fights, All those accusations, they weren't about me being greedy. They were about them knowing I was the rightful heir and trying to break me before I could find out. I kept reading. Night after night, the candle burning lower, my heart pounding louder. The footsteps I had heard weren't ghosts. They were echoes of the past trying to reach me. Then came the night I found the hidden room. Behind a false wall in the basement, tapped on with my hammer, until it gave way, stood a small steel safe. Inside, the original will, notarized and witnessed. Grandpa's shaky signature at the bottom, and beneath it, a flash drive. I plugged it into my battered laptop. The video was grainy, taken on an old camcorder. Grandpa, frail but determined, speaking directly to the camera. "Lily, if you're watching this, they've already tried to destroy you. Your stepmother killed your mother. I have the proof, hospital records, bank transfers for the poison. This house was always your safe place. Take the will, take the trust, and take back what's yours." The twist hit me like lightning. The ancestral home they had stolen from me, it had never legally been theirs. The $1 house I bought on a desperate whim was the key Grandpa had hidden from me all along. Every cruel word, every slammed door, every night I slept in my car, it had all been part of their plan to keep me broken and silent. But the house had waited. It had protected the truth. I didn't sleep that night. I packed the documents, drove into town at dawn, and walked into the lawyer's office with my head high for the first time in months. The evidence was undeniable. Police were called. Arrest warrants issued. My stepmother's face when the officers arrived at the ancestral home, priceless. Months later, I stood on the porch of my $1 house. It wasn't crumbling anymore. Fresh white paint glowed in the sunlight. Roses climbed the trellis, just like Grandma's garden. The ancestral home had been returned to me too, but I sold it. The money went into the trust Grandpa left, and into turning this little Victorian into a real home. Sometimes I still hear the wind at night, but now it sounds like a lullaby. I sit on the swing Grandpa built for me before I was even born, and I whisper, "Thank you." The dark secret almost destroyed me. Instead, it set me free. If you're out there right now, suitcase in the rain, heart shattered by the people who were supposed to love you, keep walking. Your $1 house is waiting somewhere. The truth is waiting, and when you find it, you'll finally understand. Sometimes the place that looks like the end is really the beginning of everything you were meant to be. I was kicked out. I was broken. But I came home to a house that held my past, my future, and the love that no one could ever steal again. I was kicked out. I was broken. But I came home to a house that held my past, my future, and the love that no one could ever steal again.